is May 21st, 2026. I went to the eye doctor. My eyesight's got a little worse. And they said that the cataracts are getting bigger, fast growing ones, just in 2 months. He said, your eyes are healthy. It's just those cataracts growing over. He said, once they get removed, your eyesight will go back to normal. He said, you might even, and I said, well, it was already, as soon as I got bashed in the back of the head, I said, I got an indent like the size of a hammer. It should have, he said it should have killed me. And it didn't. I said I stutter now when I get upset. But my eyesight got really bad afterwards, and it kept getting worse. And then those fast-growing cataracts showed up. I said, I went on Google. Being bashed in the head real hard like that does cause them. He said, I knew that when you said that you were bashed in the back of the head and knocked out. That's what caused it. He said, well, there's good news. Your eyes are healthy otherwise. He said, you get them removed. You will be surprised how well your eyes are when they get done. Or how well your eyesight is. He said, and how much it's going to improve. He said, what you're having trouble seeing is a cataract. That's a fast-growing cataracts growing on them. He said, and they can be removed. I started telling him about my ex-husband getting messed up at 60 with an 18-year-old girl in the drug cartel, and I didn't know it. And how we bought that house outside Ravenna. And the well water was orange. It took us a couple months to get the water treatment system in it. And I said by the second week I got bruises, I'm throwing up, da-da-da-da. I said, I thought the well water was toxic. He said, you would. I said, here they've laughed at me. They were stabbing me with hypnotic drugs when I walked by a room. You don't think to look for anybody because they shouldn't be in your home. Sit down, take a drink, the room goes dizzy and black, and they're supposed to drug me and told me to say horrible stuff. The bruises are supposed to be from beating on me. I said, I never seen her talk to anybody. I said, they're supposed to have set up button cameras. Do you realize how illegal that is? He said, yes. And I said, they're supposed to Photoshop washing in the shower in the other room. In a drug scam. Drugged me up and told me to say horrible stuff. I said I'd never seen her talk to anybody. And that thought my ex-husband had a girlfriend I didn't know about. Had her friends drug me up and beat on me like that. And drug me up and told me to say stuff and photoshopped washing in the shower in the other room and stocking tapes. And I said, and they thought they could take that scam into the FBI and they'd open up a case and hand them the money. He said, that would never happen. He said, you're not the only one that has come in here and talked about people running scams on them that are so unbelievable that nobody would fall for them. And he said, you're not the only one that's they're running scams on. He said, I've heard from other people running unbelievable scams on them. Well, I told him how she showed up at Faith Family Church in 2019. I said, I'm sitting there waiting for church to start, and she comes in, I'm the one that dates Dave. I look back, and she points at me, I'm the one that dates her husband. I'm like, I don't believe you. You don't look 18. And I said, she's running her mouth how she's above the law, and the law can't stop her. And he starts laughing. I said, she's crazy. But she was seen with people that said they worked for Judge Peters and they were from Florida and they were drug dealers. They didn't even care. They were in a church telling 3,000 people this. And I said, that's how the FBI found out about Judge Peters in Florida. And he got arrested in 22. They went after their drug connections. And they got a lot of them. And I said, they still run around. They tell people she's been in several state psychiatric hospitals. She has charges of rape and murder. The police won't arrest her. We have to take the law into our own hands and take care of her herself. It's like, don't listen to crazy people. He started laughing. It's like they're all lying. I've never been in a state psychiatric hospital. I've never been charged with rape or murder. My God, I'd be afraid of me. He started laughing and he said, you remind me of this lady that used to work for me. He said she was the sweetest, kindest person. She went to go for a job and they called me for a reference. And he said I was singing her praises, how sweet and kind she is. Wouldn't hurt a soul. He said, they asked me, would you ever have to worry about her hurting someone? He said, I started laughing and said she couldn't hurt anyone. I said, that's what the investigators told people. Karen doesn't have it in her to hurt anybody. I said, 2 federal agents, March 23rd, 23, came in Walmart 62. Uh, we told these people, stay out of it. She's never hurt anyone. No one's ever seen anything. It's just some lady thought she could make money off this. He said, you can't make money off this. I said, I know that. But they thought they could scam the FBI. He said, that's never going to happen. See, that's where we're going to... Today in the car, I went over, poor Carl had to listen to me ramble about these idiots of different times, dates, what people said, like Thanksgiving of 18, Melissa's kids getting taped, stating they made everything up, and John totally defended me that no one could say a bad word about me, and that Melissa just had to make it up because of the divorce. Don't worry about it. She'll have her church people make up something too, but don't worry about it. Nobody can say anything bad about you. Just be made up because of the divorce, and I told him you're moving out. Then how years later she tried to pull a scam on John and tried to get custody of the kids by sneaking in his house, hiding and waiting for him to walk out of the bathroom, lunged at him. He was startled and he shoved her. He didn't know she was there. Yeah, she had him arrested for domestic violence. That is not domestic violence. That's breaking and entering. I said he lost his kids for a year, asked me to be a reliable name on a court record to watch his kids after school. I couldn't help it. I didn't get off the first job, let alone the second job. And I couldn't help him. I kept apologizing, but these are my kids, Mom. If you're not a reliable name on a court record to pick them up, I'll lose them forever. I said, John, I'll lose my apartment. My one job, I only made $10 an hour. I didn't get off the first one, let alone the second one. I said, I'll lose my apartment. I am so sorry I can't help you. And he's pleading with me. And there was nothing I could do. He lost his kids, moved to Florida, met this new woman, married her, and started a church. And I told Carl that last year, and how Melissa, some guy said they work for a drug lord, said that she was willing to have the kids lie to help them get away with this. So they followed around, they caught her telling the kids to lie, and then on a legally booked house on Thanksgiving of 18, that they wanted the house for Auntie Shaw and Papa. Then later on to Florida, they made everything up. Then when I go, they were taking each one of us downstairs to yell boo. My turn to go down on the third step up, the house wasn't meant for Grandma. It was meant for Auntie Shaw and Papa. And Grandma needs to get out. And they started talking crazy crap. I go sit by Dixie and the new baby. 4 runs up, saying they're saying mean things in the basement. She said, stay out of it. And I go up to John. That's when we have the conversation. I said, what's going on? I don't know. He said, I told Melissa you're moving out, going through a divorce. She'll just have the kids make up something, but don't worry about them, Mom. Nobody can say anything bad about you. Okay? And she'll probably have her church people make up something too, but don't worry about it. Nobody can say anything bad about you. Says it several times. Just be made up because of the divorce, and I told him you're moving out. Shouldn't have said anything until it happened, but I did. And because I did, and it's just made up, and no one can say anything bad about you, don't worry about it. Okay? Well, I even went to Dave. I said, I've never hurt anyone. He said, Karen, you're good to the kids, you're good to the grandkids. You would never hurt anyone. We even talk about Melissa going to have the kids make up something because of the divorce. And that John said that. And he said, boy, that'd even be really rotten of her. She needs to stay out of this. I thought, dear God, she needs to stay out of this. He's threatening to kill everybody. Okay? And so I taped Dave, of course, defending me. Karen, you're good to the kids, you're good to the grandkids. You'd never hurt anyone. You're good to everyone, no matter who it is. Well, then years later, John asked me to be a reliable name on a court record to watch his kids. And I couldn't help him. He lost his kids. He moved to Florida, met this new woman, married her. They started their own church and they have a baby. He looks happier than he's ever been in his life. He had to get out of that bad situation and start his new life. Okay? Now, right after Thanksgiving of 18, the investigators show up. Melissa's so stupid, she made everything up when you're fishing with Dave. She's actually that stupid. She didn't check where you were. Why are they having those kids make that shit up? Oh, they're just trying to scare her into giving up the house. That's it. Oh, family speaking highly of her. What else? Officer Mark. Melissa could go to jail for involving herself in this. Hate to arrest her. Her kids are little. We'll just write it up that her and the kids were showing off for Dave and his new girlfriend. Just like Massillon Police, June 23rd to July 4th of 21, told Mount Carmel, Illinois, they're documenting me games to pretend she never hurt anyone. Just like the Stark County Sheriffs in May of 21 made fun of Kurt. Kurt just found out those kids were lying. He's slow. They're documenting me games to pretend. And they even showed up. They ought to be ashamed of herself. Karen's risking her life to get information on these people, trying to save everybody's life. And they're sitting around laughing, making up stuff behind her back. They ought to be ashamed. October 23rd, 2019, Flora ratted them out. I said, do you know how mad I was when they said that the house wasn't meant for Grandma, it was meant for Auntie Show and Papa, and Grandma needs to get out? She's like, they did. That's not what they said. They said this. Josh went, ooh, that's not true. Don't say it again. She said, well, of course it's not true. Of course it never happened. We made it up. They were games of pretend. Sat down next to me chuckling. I would have spanked them all if they were my kids. October 5th, 21, they were talking about that girl lying in Huntington Bank. Person I was with, it's like, who's that crazy Melissa? They all talk about lying everywhere we go. It's like the ex-daughter-in-law, friends with ex's girlfriend, had the kids make up some mean games of pretend in front of the police on Thanksgiving of 18. He said, they're still talking about her lying. Just like where I told Carl last June 13th, 14th of 25, I told him that thing about Thanksgiving of 18 and then how Melissa got the kids from John by that mean stunt. And how I couldn't help him asking me to be a reliable name on a court record. People pulled in. Katana's got out of their car and said they had somebody driving around with them saying they were John asking them to help kill her. And here he's in Florida. None of this is funny. They had somebody impersonate him. Of course they had somebody impersonate him. My kid would never ask anybody to drug, beat, and rape his mother or try to murder her. And he wouldn't be part of a drug scam trying to extort money from the government. And then think about this. You're defending somebody totally? And even asking them to watch your kids and trying to act like you're with a drug scam? Of course they had somebody impersonate him. They had somebody impersonate my mom before the case started. Supposed to have been seen with Dave badmouthing me. My mom's been in Illinois since 2003. And she hated Dave. They had somebody impersonate me, cost me a job. These people are imposters, trying to pull their scam and make it look legitimate. Like investigators said, do you realize how dumb these church people are? You want to realize how dumb they are? They had somebody break in and drug her and tell her to say it before. They already confessed. And they're going to say they had somebody verify they were part of having somebody drugged and told to say something. And the only crime is committed is them drugging somebody up and telling them to say something. You can't just drug somebody and be part of it. There has to be a crime actually committed. Well, I told Carl I'd be like one of them coming in here and stabbing you with a drug and telling you to say you robbed the Bank of Arizona, shot 2 security guards. And somebody say, I verify, I knew of it, and they call Arizona, it was never robbed, and no security guards got shot. That's where the investigators, June 7th, 25, they were outside my apartment, said that they had went to Dr. Haben on Frank Street. Still open. He is a kids' pediatrician from 1984 to 2002. 18 years. Seen the kids at least 3 or 4 times a year. Yearly checkup then, like ear infections, bronchitis, whatever. 3 or 4 times a year for 18 years. MD doctor. There was no sign of any abuse and no sign of no neglect, and they were very well taking care of children. Because they had seen them since they were born, they would go in there, smile, talk his ear off, chatterboxes. Still are. It's like, hey, and it's just like a family friend they would catch up with. And you can tell if someone's being abused. They're quiet, they look down, they look away. My kids will look you right in the eye and talk your ear off and smile. Normal, happy children. Like they said in Walmart on the strip this last month, this whole thing was a bitch move. Nothing but a bitch move. Thinking that they could break in, stab somebody with one of those drugs, drug them up and tell them to say something horrible. Mean games of pretend and photoshopping and washing. The whole thing is nothing but a bitch move. See, the whole thing of it is, you can't, like Agent John's girlfriend, April 30th, 26, okay, this year, Walmart Alliance. I was there and I was in Walmart 62. Ladies' underwear aisle, walks by. She said, how dumb are these people? You can't just roofie somebody and tell them to say something horrible like that. You can't have a mean game or pretend. And nobody's ever been seen for being harmed. No treatment, no nothing. You can't just make up scenarios like that. You can't just roofie someone. And you can't just have a mean game or pretend. You have to have proof. I had a personal injury attorney. Said you had to have so much for any kind of injury. You have to prove you were injured. You have to go to the hospital. You have to have pictures of injuries that match the medical doctors. You have to have treatment for the injuries. Okay? Then you prove you were harmed. Then you have to call the police. You have to let the police know. There has to be a police investigation. Because you got bit by a dog, you had to have the dog warden too. You have to have all that to prove you were harmed. You don't have that, you don't have anything. And then you can't just have a witness. Because you can pay witnesses off, where these people will run around offering people millions of extraordinary dollars amount of money if you say anything bad about it. That's where these people, like they said, they got caught trying to buy witnesses. Okay? You have to have physical evidence that person or that particular dog bit you. Because they could always say somebody else did. I had to, where the dog bit through my coat into my arm, I had its DNA on my coat where it latched down. I couldn't wash my coat till I got my settlement. She said, now you got a case. If you don't have all that, you don't have nothing. Where last week out in Alliance, some of the investigators, I don't think that a so-called attorney for children's funny having her harm like that. They said, we looked him up. He's no attorney. Just saying he is. No attorney would take these people. Said it's just one of the guys Dave hired on his own line. They've all been lying. It's a big scam. They thought that they could roofie me and tell me to say something horrible. And somebody said, oh, I'll verify you were part of having somebody drug beat and raped. My kids weren't part of it. Like they said, they tried to set my kids up to be arrested. None of my kids were part of that. Matter of fact, July 26, 25, an investigator from 18 came in and said, I told that couple never to say a word to her again. I interviewed John years ago. He said nothing bad ever happened to him, and all our boys were speaking highly of her. John was even asking me to watch his kids years later. It's a reliable name on a court record. Hmm? And you can't have mean games of pretend because you want Auntie Shell to get the house. And you're sitting around laughing, making it up. Nobody went to the hospital. There's no police report. There's no pictures of injuries. There's no treatment for injuries. There's no prosecution. Why? Because we made everything up. They were games of pretend, laughing that Melissa was in it with drug dealers. Like Officer Mark said, she can go to jail for this. July 26, 25, in Magnolia, people were calling for her arrest, trying to extort money by exploiting our children. May 30th, 25, at 1 o'clock in the morning, Louisville police were outside. And March 23rd, 23, where the FBI agents came in and said, we told these people to stay out of this. She's never hurt anyone. Nobody's ever seen anything, and some lady thought she could make money out of it. Well, she was with the Louisville police, May 30th, 25, 1 o'clock in the morning. I didn't know she knew surveillance law. I was going to trick her out of a bunch of money. She said, I'm setting Melissa and Dixie up to go to jail for it. Put their name on it. She won't be around to help them. She won't be able to find a law to stop them from going to jail for this. I reported her. Don't trick the dumb girls. And how they found the surveillance of May 26, 25 from Walmart 62 of the cartel, saying this whole thing was a scam from Bill from the Freemasons, of the dirty doctor not being one of hers, works for them, and they had lied he was one of her doctors, and the whole thing's a scam. And they found the original case. My ex-husband hired 2 men on his own. One was saying he was an attorney, so it made it legal. No, it didn't. Made it worse illegal. Right on Google. If your husband hires an attorney to set up button cameras, stalking his wife in their private home, and she has no knowledge of it, what is a jail sentence? Like 10 to 20 years. Right of privacy. Like they said, as an occult, they didn't think me being a woman that I had rights. That they could have me stalked, photoshopped, framed, drugged, beaten, raped, drugged up and told to say stuff and framed. And human trafficked and murdered because they thought I was a woman, or I am a woman, but you know what I mean, as a woman, that I had no rights. Because that as a cult, they don't think women have rights. I want you to think about that. As an occult, they didn't think women have rights. Right on Google, if your husband hires an attorney to set up button cameras in a private home stalking his wife, what is a jail sentence for the attorney? It's 10 to 20 years, disbarment immediately. It's the Fourth Amendment. Even President Nixon couldn't bug an office. He was getting ready to get impeached, and he quit real quick. That's how Ford became president. Even the president of the United States. See, that's where Officer Reinhardt in Louisville had said, I don't care what these people say they got, I don't care what they say they did. Until that agent had agreed to protect you, had statements of threat of life from everyone in that home. And he had to have a court order. Even the FBI would go to jail for being in your home. Nobody can be in your home. Ever. It's a felony invasion of privacy, cyber stalking, wiretapping, illegal monitoring, and disbarment immediately. Let alone some evil person drugging somebody up and tell them to say something and then having them be raped in their own home and leave that poor thing so drugged up they don't know what happened to them. And they thought the well water they were showering in was toxic. Like they said, when the case first started, we found out Karen's ex-husband was keeping her so drugged up there. She wasn't realizing they were drug beating, raping her. Neither did a doctor, and they were seeing me for all those signs. I kept blaming the well water being toxic. And they said it was some judge up there messed up in the drug cartel. We found out it was just some guy saying he's a judge. They're imposters. Pulling a drug scam. How would you like to be a victim of a drug scam? These people laughed at me last year as I walked by doors. They were standing there with the hypnotic drugs and syringes and would stab me real quick. And you don't think to look for someone. You don't think to look for someone. Thought you just got stung, you turn around and they're already ducked back. Go out and take a drink and the room goes dizzy and black, and then hours later, you're throwing up, dizzy, the room's spinning, you got bruises on you. Then you end up with a severe infection, you end up going to the doctor. What's wrong with me? Is it the well water I'm showering in? Is it toxic? And they're treating all the signs of being drug, beat, and raped. You never seen or talked to someone. And some rapist is playing a con on you. Because where did I talk to him? I didn't. Where did I have him in my home? I didn't. Where did I meet him? I didn't. A rapist playing with me. Like Officer Mark said, it's documented and verified she's framed before. And it was a drug cartel in her home before. This is a drug cartel scam. Realize it. And then people need to stop making fun of me for being a drugged up rape victim that was almost murdered trying to save her family. I've never hurt anyone. Even the FBI has told people that. She's never hurt anyone. Nobody's ever seen anything. It's just a scam. It's a drug scam. That's it. How many times have the investigators told people it's just a drug scam? Like Officer Mark said, it's documented and verified she's framed before. And it was a drug cartel in our home before. We've seen them. Drug cartel. A drug cartel did this. Judge Peters' group from Florida admitted they were the ones doing it. And doing it before in February 19th, Faith Family Church. In front of thousands of people, they were the ones doing it. Judge Peters' group, human trafficking group, pulled a drug scam on me. Now, my son John was not part of having me drug, beat, and raped by a drug cartel and drugged and framed for them to try to extort money from the government. Neither was Danny. He did not know anything about no tapes of Weird with Yourself. They knew I had bruises, throwing up, and almost passing out, but they didn't realize somebody was drug, beat, and raping me. And they weren't part of it either. And they already verified they knew nothing about it. And they stood up for me. And Joshy had nothing to do with it either. And neither did John. Where they said they set up my kids to be arrested. They were running around offering people millions of dollars of extorted money from the government. Say something bad about her. We'll put your name on it. Do you know the attempt of extortion out of a federal case is automatic 20 years? Attempt of extortion out of an FBI informant is 20. Like Grant's friend that's an FBI agent, if that agent really didn't pay her and all these things happened, the only one that could steal money out of the case is him. The debit card that had her name on it for working the case, he simply put it in his pocket. And somebody in that office is covering for him, and they signed that, verified that she got it, and he stole from that case. He's probably been stealing from cases for a while. And he's the only one, and that's the only way you can steal from an FBI case, is the agent simply stole the debit card with her name on it. And somebody in that office is covering from him. And they've probably been stealing from a lot of cases for a long time and didn't get caught. Get the idea? See, that's where investigators told people years ago. With the drugs they used on Karen, she has no memory of those people. When people look at her, the only thing she knows is she never had anybody in her home before. She never talked to anyone. That's all she knows. So when people talk to her and they speak to her, she doesn't know anything. August 4th, 25, they admitted to using hypnotic drugs on me. August 5th, as if Agent John didn't know, they used hypnotic drugs on her when they drugged her and told her to say it before he was telling people he knew she was being drugged, being raped before the case started. He even let him torture her. Is he some kind of coward? August 7th, 25, Walmart 62. We still have it. Of the investigators, we got them taped again, admitting drugging her and telling her to say it before, including now using hypnotic drugs, and she'd have no memory of it, and calling Agent John a coward. December 1st, 25, that Michelle that was dating an agent that told him March 27th, 25, of the doctor from before, it's not one of mine, works for them, and they had lied. He was one of my doctors. She actually don't know who he is, and when they bashed in her head, they tried to kill her, leave her incompetent, and it didn't work. Got it out of Dave that a girlfriend from before me made him marry me so that he could get a job in my dad's factory, and she could have free insurance. The woman using my insurance for 15 years was a random identity fraud. It was one of his girlfriends running up bills in my name. And he got it out of that family that where they were running around telling people that offended them that Strange called me a faker, that they were all lying to the FBI to help them get away with it. It didn't even concern them. Okay? So then they started threatening that Michelle that told on the real pretty Michelle. There's a couple Michelles involved in this. Well, she went badass on them, telling all of them. December 1st, 25, Michelle showed up in my office, Walmart 62, they still have it. That these people had already confessed that this whole thing was a scam to extort money from the government. Her ex-husband was involved. And that the doctor from before is not one of hers, works for them, and they had lied. He was one of her doctors. And she actually don't know who he is. And that guy, Pete, running his mouth about her, she doesn't even know who he is. It's just some guy Dave hired on his own, and they admitted to using hypnotic drugs on her when they drugged her and told her to say it before, and she has no memory of these people. And the tape of Weird With Yourself is nothing but photoshopped of washing in the shower. And the whole thing is nothing but a scam to extort money from the government. When you realize what they're actually doing, that's it. It's just a scam. And they scammed everybody. I'm going to upload this.